be loving you, baby. Your lipstick got me thinking you could be my summer breeze. I guide you to the moon, baby. You're so afraid of living, so take my hand, we sail the sea. Even though the storm is shaking us up, even though the waves can break in our trust, and maybe we are losing our way and get lost, but I know I'll stay with you. Oh baby, I'm sugar bleeding, I don't want you to see it, that I can't just control my love. Oh baby, I'm sugar bleeding, why don't you just believe it, that I can't just control my love. I'm dancing on your rhythm, baby, show me steps to conquer everything in your world. 1,000 years of wisdom, and still I get to know you, so let me find your inner words. Even though the storm is shaking us up, even though the waves can break in our trust, and maybe we are losing our way and get lost, but I know I'll stay with you. Oh baby, I'm sugar bleeding, I don't want you.
The EGFH returns with week 4 of action, and it's Valorant to start off the week, our one and only game on the day. It's North Rockland High School taking on the Kings Park Knights. I'm Time to Light. Joined alongside me is Nerds Corner for the second week in a row. And Nerds, it's the number 3 versus the number 6 seeds here in Group 1. How do you feel about our current standings between the two squads?
I don't have enough fingers on the other hand. I'm feeling excited. I mean, the only difference between both of these teams is that Kings Park Knights did have to forfeit, unfortunately, for one of their losses. So, I mean, they both played 3 games, 2 wins and a loss for North Rockland. A little bit of an edge there since they did end up losing it. You know, losses always teach you something. They give you something to grow off of and push off of. So, I mean, there's something to be said there, but other than that, they're pretty even. The standings are all kind of even though they're 6th, right? But the standings are all pretty like 2-1.
Yeah, our real meat of this 9-team group is about as close as things can get between North Rockland at 2-1 and Huntington at 1-2. You have very little between them. Kings Park, by the way, is on a technicality 2-1, but theirs is a forfeit, not an actual loss. It'll be counted towards the end of the season, not currently, hence the reason why they currently are listed at 2-0. That's actually not the case. I want to talk about our two teams moving forward, and really how they can take on one another. At the high school level, you see more often than not, similar maps to other series. A sneak peek for you, by the way, into the maps is we are playing the 3 longest standing maps in the competitive pool, in no particular order. Ascent, Icebox, and Haven, with the 4 most recent additions all banned out.
I mean, it's unfortunate that they're the ones that are banned out. I really enjoy seeing them, but at the same time, they're a really good blank canvas of sorts to see how teams can play out against each other. Ascent and Icebox have some of the craziest and probably the most Sova and Fade lineups. The Initiator lineups are great, and considering that we are days away from the meta being shifted drastically with new agents being flowing and coming into Valorant, I mean, it's a good time for them to get out any final hurrahs before everything finishes off.
Well, as you saw on the map picks and bans, this is the selection of North Rockland, with Kings Park choosing Icebox, and of course Haven being our decider, so Kings Park decided to choose the defensive side. Can't say I blame them. One thing I can blame them for is a Yoru on Ascent. Can't say I had that one in my week 4 bingo card for the EGFH.
Well, I'm gonna say it. There were a couple of teams in the APAC region that had a really good run with Yoru. I would say they had a good run with Yoru, and I'd give them that because there were some crazy outplays. Now, a Yoru main at this level of play could be difficult to play against for North Rockland. Now, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it develops, but their team composition is rather interesting. 2 flashes and a paranoia for Kings Park is a lot of utility, but we also have 2 flashes and a paranoia for North Rockland. It's just slightly different duelists on each side.
That was the conversation I wanted to bring up. Everybody has almost a carbon copy of a composition, other than it's different duelists with Yoru versus Phoenix. It's double Sentinel double Initiator versus single Initiator. The KO's similar, the Jet versus the Sova, the difference there. And then the Sentinels are different, with it being, as we can see, Cypher versus that Killjoy. It's really up to comfortability, and starting on the defensive side, I think Cypher is a better option than that. Well, Cypher would be on the attack, so I understand the Killjoy selection there for North Rockland.
I mean, you get to play Rainbow Six in Valorant. You place a cam, sit on it, and have a fun time. Trips are there as well. I mean, I think with the nerfs that Cypher had a while ago, and now the buffs that he has in this current patch, I think it's relatively good that people play him. I think he is a well worth agent. His utility isn't just kind of useless. And that ultimate getting buffed, pinging you twice, it is so much harder to use it, to fake, to use it against the team that's using it, right? Because a lot of times people will stay on a site, or they'll hide in an area, and then they'll fake that they're staying there, or fake that they're rotating in one way or another. But because it's getting pinged twice, you have a harder time to manipulate it and change it as the site take already commences.
They're just pushing straight onto A, and it's working fairly well. Abo does find one. There is an immediate return. The Phoenix finding a kill there. Nickelodeon is trying to get this plant down, and will do so without all that much to return, almost shooting their own nano swarm, but still finding a follow-up kill. By no means are they out of this. Kings Park still there with the frags, but Jay is caught out as they gate crash into the back side of the site. It's more memes left alone, and he needs, I think, a little bit more gunpowder to pull this one off.
And in a 1v3, it's difficult. And, you know, we're talking a lot about utility. The KG utility is now guarding that spike, keeping it alive, keeping it fresh. So it's going to be even harder. It's almost like a 3v4 in this situation. But with Endo and Phoenix both aligning up there in the back line, Endo and Yui, they're just chilling back there. Doubling up.
Round goes the way of North Rockland.
I mean, it does. I was going to say doubling up there is a little scary, but they're capable of standing far enough apart to not have a refrag moment, right? Like Cypher jumps down, grabs both of them, and this is going to be a buy.
I think the possibility of finding both there is really only possible if you have better than a classic. Ghost, maybe. Sheriff, sure. Any SMG,
don't discount the right click, though. If you're really grouped up together, I was going to say the right click.
But you have to hit multiple right clicks to find that kill. That's the problem. Because even if one hits the head, it doesn't do as much damage because it's the right click.
Oh, well, that's fair. We see the globe-trotting... I love the crosshairs, the manipulation this game has. We're going to see Omen v Omen, and it's the shorty. The 150 cred. Boomstick goes out. There's the trade for Nickelodeon. Wait, is that... Yeah.
Yeah, 2 for 2 right off the bat. Recon Bolt misses a little bit. Flash around the corner. Finds information as to Mormeep's position, but this is still a pretty good round for Kings Park. They've already found 2 kills. It's a 3v3, and they have a flank set up as well. Uyo finding at least one, but now Drew stuck in the corner. It's down to just Jay, who just barely is taken out. Headshot landed. Inconsequential, though, will give North Rockland the round. It still was a pretty good hold for Kings Park. They do the damage, they just can't find the round outcome they were looking for.
I mean, they did make it decently costly for North Rockland. And they just bought Stingers, though. And this is where I always argue that Stingers might be a better second round buy, because if you are going for a light play there, they still have a really good economy here. 4K creds for players like Uo, their Phoenix. They have the capability to start steamrolling and building up that economy, especially in this first rifle round. Now, Frog wants to make them slow down and control the pace of the game. And if they don't want to push out, they lose themselves a rifle to the hands of North Rockland. Kings Park is going to have a hard time coming back from that if they do. So I love these cautious plays, the patience for all these players.
Setup works fairly well for the defensive side right off the bat, at least finding one. Timing, however, costing him a little bit more than not. Plant will go down. It will be a full retake setup, but there are 2 nanoswarms on the spike and a whole lot of utility to work with here for this attacking, now technically defensive site in the post plant. 0 point will land. That'll find 3 different players, all fairly close to that walk-in, and here comes the engagement. 2 up on the catwalk, 3 seemingly going from the stair side, and a 3, now 4 for 1 trade as they engage. Clean up for Kings Park as they deny the bonus.
And it's just that patience to allow them the security of getting on site and then just being able to comfortably retake, not losing too many rifles, not losing too many guns in this next and coming round. We have just one player who does one player, and it's the Jet with 6 and 7 on that ult economy. In theory, they can either fight for an orb or see if they can get a cheeky kill with this Marshall and win out. And North Rockland, they also have the creds. They've played the game of Valorant. They got the classic, you know, you win the pistol, you win the bonus. You might lose the rifle, but now they have the rifles. Although with Endo going for a, interestingly going for a Spectre. I think they have enough creds there. 1.5k creds extra. If you didn't like bonus the Spectre, you should have enough there to buy a Vandal or buy up a rifle of some sort.
You should. They don't. I was also now looking at Cat Bookmark's crosshair. It's weird to say the very least. Drew sees one. Flash around the corner. There are 4 players on the other side of that wall, by the way. Not the most advisable of swings. Does have some assistance. Good shock dart. A little bit of damage done. Not the end of the world by any means for the market-occupied KO. But only information gained as to the KO. And it's a pretty good bait setup. The problem is, Jay took a little bit too long and was only able to find one. A 2-for-1 trade favoring that Phoenix, looking for another onto the site itself. But the Cypher finds one back. More memes. And now Baba Booey?
Baba Booey.
Whatever that word is. Yeah, apparently.
Aw, come on.
Not done there.
The
It's
culture.
just down to Cosmetaz.
It's an opening of a YouTuber, I believe. A Valorant YouTuber. Their opening is just the cinematic, and then it says Baba Booey. And so I have a feeling that is what they're named after, as Cosmati falls. Simply falls apart. And that is going to be 2 rifles for the Kings Park Knights. And we do see some of those gun buddies. I love to see them because not only are they cool, you get the skins, you get the gun buddies, but you also get a little bit of insight into the players. I believe it is simply Simple has a immortal buddy, if I'm not mistaken, on their Vandal. It's pretty high ranked.
I am not immortal, so yeah.
Yep, that is an immortal
I'm
buddy.
very happy around my ascendant-ish level.
That's
Flat sometimes.
You hover between. Not even diamond.
I have enough. I have enough of a rank to know my brain power is keeping me up, not really my aim power. Good play by Jay. Preset fake will find him an opening kill, almost a second as well, but they do get out safely. So, and that's information as well there for North Rockland. They threw the 0 point in. It hit nobody in Wine Cellar. They should know it's clear now. The problem is they're taking a little bit too long to get in here. Flank coming through from the Jet. Sound cue there. Pop the tailwind, but they still lose the fight. Endo finds a refrag, and we're back to the 4v4.
Ultimate on the side of the Kings Park Knights gives me some hope. I want to see some crazy outplays here from Jay. Right? You have a hard time capitalizing on the Yoru utility as a player with your teammates, but solo plays really pop off for Yoru. Sure, it's really hard to play together as a team, but and some solo outfrags, it works. Unfortunately, Nickelodeon slimes them and makes them fall.
That was a good one. That took me a second. I was like, slimes him. What did he do? Oh, yeah, Nickelodeon, Kids' Choice Awards, the whole sign thing. Cosmetaz is very lucky to be alive. They just crossed past an open door with no smoke to assist. Fragment over the top. I don't know if that's going to do any damage, and it doesn't look like it will. The turret on top of Generator does a whole lot of nothing. Information gained, but Cosmetaz is just still happy to hang out on the backside of that fully safe Generator. No way to find that kill. Finally, More Memes does, and a double swing down through hell. It's More Memes with a double. And Endo now in a 1 versus 3. I believe their nanoswarms have been taken care of on top of the spike. No, they have not. They don't fully reach. It should be stuck here for the defensive side, and it will be. Drew, no!
Simple
got off of it!
Oh, you gotta trust your teammates there.
On today's episode of Trusting Your Teammates, we see a lost round for Kings Park as well. Simple didn't do so.
On today's broadcast, oh my god. And this is why trusting your teammates is one thing, but also like having those outplays against KJ and being able to maybe tank a couple of hits to get the half secured, especially in a 2v1 situation. You shouldn't be, by most accounts, 2v1, you shouldn't be losing that, but up against KJ, that's where the utility starts to shine. It becomes a lot more complicated and complex. Those nano swarms, they do a decent amount of damage, and you can, it's a molly that you don't need to like maintain. You just have it there. You just click a button and boom. You don't need to throw it out like KO. You could just, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Pretty good bait setup to open things up on the A side. Bababoo does get out without taking any damage, only takes out that run it back ultimate. 1-for-1 trade off the start though. Jay surprisingly taken out courtesy of Cat Bookmark Spectre. They trade out for another one, but are still only on 15 HP. And a difficult push here for North Rockland, to understate the obvious. They don't have the greatest of utility nor economy, considering they only won the previous round with nobody alive based off of time in and of itself. Going back to that previous round while we have a second, it should be just a slowdown here for North Rockland. The other note was they also had to really trust their teammates, because even if you don't, you can really only lose the round at that point. 1-for-1.
Wow.
And I think it's a similar situation here for Cosmetaz, but there's still possibilities.
I love,
they're very close to that milk.
I loved their crossfire they set up with Baba Booey staying back in wine, relaxing, chilling. And with the spike compromised, it's just so difficult for North Rockland to convert this round into a win. They have the weaponry, but they do not have the advantages, as Baba Booey shows off that immortal play. I think 2 players for the Knights are immortal. Kings Park High, they have both Simple and Baba Booey, who have those fun charms. But at the end of the day, whether they picked it up from a teammate or from an enemy, that means there's some high-level gameplay here. And speaking of high-level gameplay, we have ultimates on the board for basically everyone. A couple are missing for both sides, but other than that, economy stacked in favor of the Kings Park Knights. The ultimates as well, they have 4 of them. This pick of Yoru isn't shining as much, but it's definitely not hurting them.
I think they're playing it similar to, honestly, how you'd play an Omen if Omen was a duelist. That's my opinion. But
explain, elaborate.
It's an odd equalization, but they're trying to use the teleporters just to throw a spanner in the works of the attacking half, and it's working fairly well. You can see they're not able to do all that much comfortably on this attacking side. Drew really wants to play in front of the smoke. Can't do so safely. Good usage of the tripwire. More memes able to find an opening kill again on a B push. Drew ready with a flash, but Wii U has crossed in front of them and is currently just sitting on that CT walkout. Cosmetaz is completely unaware of Market, just trying to close the doors, taken care of as well, and a 5v2 retake. Make it 5 or 4v2, as Nickelodeon finds a clean kill.
And there we go, it's a 1-player retake. Slimer gets slimed and falls. Unfortunately, with 4 players left alive and with ultimates online for them, it is going to be a mountain to climb for North Rockland in this round, especially with their economy being broken up. Spectres in hand for Endo, maybe those eco plays, right? I'm cracked with the Spectre. Like, I'm just so good with it personally, so I'm just gonna run in there. And you know what, that works out, because I know for me, I know a lot of Neon mains out there. We love to just run in there with a shorty and a dream, 150 credit boomstick to just see if we can get a lot of value. The economy going insanely in their favor. But again, we get to see the around the world crosshair from the Omen for North Rockland.
This is either a botch smoke or a completely messed up smoke. Bababoo the swing, not even noting the fact that we crossed in front of them. So it is still an opening kill in their favor. And that's information as to Jay's whereabouts. They're trying to get the gate crash out. A Faker on the corner, but it gets stuck on the button. They are able to get out. Just a fake teleport, though, trying to throw him off, and it works out. A 2-for-1 trade there for Jay specifically, and Simple will follow up with a return just the same. A 3v2 in the round, and North Rockland have been torn apart on this wall walk in. It's down to Cosmetaz only, and they're dealt with just the same. Poetic hold by Kings Park, and what a clean stoppage by Jay.
We're starting to see some of those Yoru outplays. We're starting to see some of them. And I mean, not even outplays, just Jay playing really well in general. It doesn't even have to be like utility based playing. You just have a good character, you have a good player on an agent that shines, and you're doing great. That being said, I mean, there is no need for them to really use any of these ultimates. There's no opportunity for them. So they're kind of just sedentary, and it's given North Rockland some time to catch up in that department, but not in terms of their economy. They keep fracturing it, and they're not buying up together. The classic thing that we see in Valorant is the loop of you lose a round, so you save, then you try to get a thrifty, but you really lose that round again, and then you lose 2 rounds in a row, and then you fully buy up to try and contest the other team that has a full buy up and hurt their economy as much as possible. Speaking of hurt, some of the players for North Rockland here are beat up. They still have 5 alive.
Understory being used right off the bat, just trying to create even more space for this hold. The problem is Bababoo doesn't particularly care. Nice tailwind to get out of it, and the swing's still there. Nickelodeon dropped, and Endo had to look 3 different directions all at about the same time and through the wall. Not the best recipe for success on that retake hold, and North Rockland again are shut down in a post plant. Kings Park much more neat and tidy on the B side retakes than they are over towards A.
I mean, their B side I feel like is easier to retake by a touch. Wait, I don't even. What do you think is easier to retake? Before I state my opinion or my thought process, A
is straight up. It's about as statistically accurate as you can get. You only have to watch 2 angles on B. On A, you have to watch minimum 3, plus 4 if you technically count in both sides of A, or both sides of A main. You're like. It's a little difficult.
Both sides of it. What do you? There's the A main choke.
Wine.
Well, I mean, wine. I guess you could. Once you clear wine, I feel like you've cleared it though.
What if they smoke it and they cross? Then you have to watch it again.
I guess. So they're like. I feel like it's still 1 choke point. The reason I was gonna say B is difficult. Would be difficult in this situation is only because once KJ gets on there, I feel like it's harder. It's easier for a person to retake B site with KJ than with A, because A site has like a lot of places for KJ to hide and play back, so it ends up becoming really difficult, especially with that lockdown online for North Rockland. Makes B a little bit easier.
Lockdown's available.
Utility. It is,
and looks like we're going to see it utilized, most likely at least. Both null commands are on the board, including Neural Theft for Kings Park. From the shadows, I don't think we'll find all that much use in this round. Everything other than that close market door is clear up to the site itself. There's the null command. Wii needs to be cleared out of position. It's flash, but is not cleared, and that's the problem. They could just play bait setup the entire time, and it may very well work. A first, but they missed the spray out of the second, and their information almost certainly dropped because of it. Wii missed opportunity, missed shots, and maybe a missed round there for North Rockland. Another B-site retake. Kings Park is 3 for 3 with weapons over on towards B.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think it even matters which one's easier to retake in theory, because they just make it look flawless every time. They can push onto the site and they can get in there. They have Baba Booey with 13 and 6 here as well, and 8k creds. At this point, they've built up such a roll. The snowball is just so big that it is. I feel like it's going to be difficult for North Rockland to find too much value in these next coming rounds, especially because it is near the end. That being said, you know, once you switch sides, once things change, anything can happen. As Baba Booey is able to take down one of the North Rockland players.
Flash a little bit too far. Bababoo should be smoked off here and is, so we'll have to back away. Tailwind used, they get out. Cosmetaz wastes their second flash. Doesn't get any more of those for the rest of the round. Does still have a 0 point. That's not for another 15 seconds or so. And North Rockland need to reevaluate. Question is, where do they go? They have a few options, obviously up towards mid through market to B, up through mid through catwalk to A, or just straight up B main, that being their most desirable of current selections because of the lack of players on that side of the map. Unfortunately, they choose the second of the three, straight towards Cat, and it just does not work out. 2 for 1 and a 1v4 here for Endo. It's actually 2, sorry. They do have assistance. The problem is they're walking into a bait setup towards B as well.
Oh, and they're just gonna get caught off guard. Simple's able to grab one, but the refrag doesn't happen. He just falls as well. I mean, Cosmetaz tried the swing and a miss, unfortunately, for North Rockland. And it is, like the announcer says, the last round before the half. Baba Booey leading the charge for their team. Ultimates online for everyone. Well, not for everyone, for 3 and 3 more specifically, but for every big ultimate, I think we can see it here already. We have the Neural Theft, the Dimensional Drift, and the Blade Storm. The 3, 2 Duelists and Sentinel. Whereas on the other side, we have our Initiator, Sentinel, Controller. So the full roster's there for all the roles, but realistically, there isn't too much value to be provided for them. I feel like North Rockland popping that null command earlier on to get onto a site, and then the lockdown to secure it might have gotten them like some more rounds and netted them some value. But hopefully they can use that up here as Nickelodeon falls.
Honestly, a decent 1-for-1 trade, though. So, they're still in this. Killjoy, Lockdown, and Null Command used with one another. Baba Boo has no utility and will be stuck towards the backside of boat if they want to survive this engagement. Instead, they will indeed be detained. Very little likelihood of them surviving, and they don't. But it's still a 3v1. Endo left alone inside of the site, and they'll be caught by the Neural Theft as well. Here's the Dimensional Drift. There's the fake. There's the bait. But they still find the kill. The Neural Theft finally comes online, and More Memes is able to drop Endo off the back of it. The 9-3 first half scoreline comes through, and the Knights open it up with a 6-round lead at the first halftime whistle.
Oh my golly, we got to finally see some crazy Yoru outplays, the Dimensional Drift into the clone. Unfortunately, did not catch Endo off guard. At least not nearly enough. Maybe throwing a couple of flashes in there would have fully secured it. And a TP behind them to even bamboozle them. But at the end of the day, it's not about the utility utilization. It's more about the fact that Yoru plays are so fascinating to me. There's so many different components and there's just so many variables to how you can really play a situation out. It almost feels like a game of imagination. It's like, how do you want to play this out? You can imagine any scenario you want in your head, but at the end of the day, it always plays out slightly differently than you envisioned it. But getting caught out with utility in hand, not setting up enough utility ahead of time, Endo falls.
Ah yes, the old hold W and hope it works, and they take A fairly quickly. 3 players are caught in a 0 point, so no utility for them for the next 4 seconds or so. Caught in a fragment as well, decent bit of damage done onto the Yoru, who's stuck on just 1 HP. Wii pushing forward, caught out, Frenzy versus Frenzy, and Drew comes out on top of it, even though they were still slightly flash. Cosmetaz on their attempted retake can do a little bit, but not all that much. It's a shock dart to find a kill, but 2 frenzies to find returns, and Nickelodeon with their frenzy as well left alone. 1 versus 4, Recon Bolt is shot out, even though it does scan out the Cypher. It doesn't do all that much other than just give them an opportunity to give themselves away. Pistol round goes the way of Kings Park, and they extend their lead to 7, making North Rockland a requisite victor in this round if they want to stay on the map.
And I mean, I remember we had a very interesting conversation about 9-3 curses and about like you don't believe in 9-3 curses, you just think it's something about statistics. But
TLDR, pistol bonus, or pistol conversion bonus should go that way. A favored side will go towards the defense or offense, depending on the map, more often than not. In a 9-3 way, more often than 8-4 or 10-2, or especially.
I think regardless of the statistics, time to line, I think we also need to take into account how quickly the adaptations can come out from a team. And I feel like North Rockland just isn't capable of that currently. They're not adapting fast enough to the strategies of Kings Park High. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're just running in there every single time, getting onto site, taking all the space that they need. And just like that, Baba Booey grabs one more, Simple cleans it up, and boom! North Rockland has fallen 11-3, and Kings Park is in there every single time. Like you said earlier, hold W and get on site strategy. W's for the win, W for getting on in there. And there's no recourse for North Rockland right now.
Nope. The benefit is they have better weaponry this time around, albeit narrowly. It's 4
Bulldog.
Phantom/Vandals and a Bulldog, now
Spectre.
3 and a Bulldog, because a Spectre's added, versus just a single Phantom, a single Vandal, and then I think it's Stingers across the board, if I'm looking at my scoreboard correctly. Yep. Not the greatest of buys here for Kings Park, but it's their bonus. If they're going to lose a round, this is the one they're expected to drop. They'll be able to buy in the next round, and on paper, they should close out the final 2, but by no means is North Rockland out of this. The problem is they've just given up basically all of A, and I cannot fathom as to why.
Well, like you said, it's easier to retake, so maybe retaking it is the thought process there. But I don't know. Individual outplays can win out in this situation. Rockland's already on the up, and now with a little bit more work from Jay, they instantly lose their lead in numbers. Although Uwe does not want that to happen. They're like, hey, you know what? You might be losing your lead in numbers, but we're gonna keep things up. Nickelodeon's able to find one more, and it is looking slightly better for North Rockland. Now, if North Rockland can win this, in theory, hopefully they can continue winning more rounds and snowballing it even through the Knights' power, and even through the Knights, now having rifles and better weaponry.
The problem is, they just gave away their real sense of surprise, or element of surprise, towards the B side. That camera being put out was the sound cue that they needed to throw out the recon bolt, and information is there. However, so now are rifles. Picked up Vandal by Drew leads him to a kill, and a 2v2 now on the cards. 0 point misses. Nobody's caught out by that one, so they should be perfectly fine at this point. The return, however, lands, specifically only onto the Cypher. The retake will come from both sides. Main and CT. The problem is they need to be able to differentiate these kills. A Cypher cage set up to try and interrupt that tripwire just the same. And they throw the fragment towards the backside of Boathouse as well. The problem is they don't swing together. That'll end up being their undoing. More memes, the double, Cosmotaz the final death, and Kings Park on the map point early.
And now the round that North Rockland should have won falls apart. Kings Park's quick rotation, and again, it's just how fast can you adapt a lot of times in this game. They went for like a light default play to gain info and maybe try and get a couple of picks, and unfortunately for North Rockland, they had the capacity to like really quickly rotate and get to the other side, and they really realized, okay, this is our mistake, right? They're going, we got a couple here on A, but they're going to be going to a different site entirely. And the Knights, they just did it slightly faster, and they secured it a lot earlier. They could set up their utility. We saw the Cypher cages and the trips. They were there. Had all the info they needed when it was broken. Sure, the Cypher trip didn't go out, but they knew someone had to break it. That means that there's at least one player there. So
that's so much space. Single dimensional drift, so much space now for Kings Park. They'll get a spike plant off the back of it. Very little that North Rockland can do, and apparently nothing, as Jay already finds a 3K, and Cat bookmarks in a 1v5, and all they have is a Stinger. Long range against anybody, not the most advantageous of weaponry. They do sub out for a Vandal, now trying to take on 4 different players. They find one. Jay's 4K is denied, but a follow-up by More Memes is there, as is the round by Kings Park. 13-3 and a cent, and that was the map pick of North Rockland, no less. Pretty good start for Kings Park, if I do say so myself.
And looking at the stats real quick, Baba Booey and Jay near the top there with Simple, they're just leading the charge for their team. Great on them with 10 assists on Simple. Those paranoias and smokes seemingly working out every time in their favor. So hats off to them playing together as a team. Not to discredit North Rockland, they've done an amazing job themselves as well. With players being able to get 4 first bloods on Uwe. He was able to also grab 3 assists there as well, maybe with some mollies and stuff, tagging some players up. But, it is, like you said, North Rockland's pick, but we have seen, even in like pro play, people lose their pick and then come back on the enemy's pick.
especially when it's the more common of maps. Icebox's map 2, it is the map selection of Kings Park, so more than likely they'll take it, especially after that map 1 outcome, but by no means is this series over. There is still at least one map to play, if not a second on Haven, should map 3 be required. We'll find out if it is when we come back from break. Nine-3 curse who? Kings Park take map 1 of Ascent after a 9-3 first half score, closing it out 13-3. We head to Icebox. It is their map selection, so they're pretty good in terms of situations, at least for themselves. Icebox, of course, with them, they start on the defense. North Rockland have chosen the attack.
Oh, look at this.
I don't know how this is going to go for them, but I do appreciate some consistency, especially with Uyo going back on the jet, or onto the jet.
Oh, wait, no, Uyo was...
they were in the Phoenix.
Phoenix, so you saw about the duelist role?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go a completely different direction. If we look on the flip side, on the grass side, I guess, Jay has gone with the Yoru again. I mean, consistency is key here. If you are going to be playing one agent, if that's your main, and you know all the lineups, all the play styles, all the stuff that you got to be having with him, you got to be playing him on every single map, whether it's Icebox or Lotus, the newest one, or the most a very common one that we see. You got to be playing Yoru. And so that's why I'm like, it's funny to see them consistent. Another thing that I do want to say, there are a couple other consistencies as well. Nickelodeon going on to the Sova and Kazmataz. Why my brain is Kazmatazed, Razmatazed, and absolutely bamboozled with that one. But also going on the KO as well.
More memes is on the KO. That's my real PowerPoint. Instead of going back to the Sentinel, they decide KO's the goal. Drew will switch off of the KO and go Sage. Baba Boo goes from the Jet onto the Viper, and then Simple goes from Controller onto the Jet. So, you take your differences where you have them on Kings Park. A little bit more consistency over towards North Rockland, but, hey, if you're comfortable with it, especially map by map, that's your prerogative. We do have a stat for you in terms of first bloods here for Baba Boo. In map number 1, maybe for all of you curious, 6 First Bloods in 16 rounds. And for all of you maybe non-mathematicians out there, that means just under 40% of the time, Baba Boo got the first kill in a round.
Mathematics are not my strong suit, and neither is languages, apparently. Hey, that is a very impressive scoreline, though. 40% of the time opening things up for your team as a duelist, you are doing great.
I wish I could find First Bloods like that. I also play KO, so not really expected of me.
No, I mean, it's all about playing your role, right? Your goal is to make space as a duelist. KO is more of the supporting role, as Vice J is looking to start making some changing that up. TP's back. This is where we're going to start seeing some of that your utility shine.
Well, Jay's able to get out of dodge without too much damage done. 0 point will land. Only 1 caught up in it. That's simple on the Jet, so only their utility is taken care of. We'll try and get the spike down either outside the Cypher cage or directly inside of it. Jay, trying to fake the fact that they were a clone, is instead dropped and clotheslined with a ghost. Simple still wants to play aggressive though. Sheriff in hand as well. It'll be a full retake setup, and the spike is planted, but there's an immediate refrag there. Uyo here and on top of Z, but is immediately taken care of, and Cosmetaz on their run forward, not even thinking that Baba Boo would be as far forward as they were. Clean retake, clean round there for Kings Park. Only 1 death, and that was because Jay thought that he could bamboozle, joke intended, North Rockland.
I really want to see some Yoru outplays, so I was just crossing my fingers there, hoping for something crazy to come through. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more of that, especially with the confidence coming from last game. If we see some more plays from Jay like that, I feel like whether they're outplays or memes or regardless, it'll be fun to see more of it from their team. That being said, it is the classic convert round bonus, and then hopefully the rifle after that. They're going to be buying up all together. I personally, I mean, I'm a big fan of all the maps in Valorant.
For some context, somebody in Twitch chat asked what map was next, and then 2 other people responded, Dust 2 and Mirage. That's why he's giggling to himself. Leo, quick aggression will work out fairly well for them. Drew is taken care of, and the opening kill goes the way of North Rockland again. Clone is not shot out. Simple knows, however, that is on top and will easily find the kill off the back of it. Drop down with a gate crash. There's the aggression, there's the frags, and there's the round. Blink and you miss it. Kings Park in 2 rounds have died 2 times. The team as a whole, by the way, has 2 deaths. Really only on Jay and Drew, and even then, not all that impactful.
Unfortunately, I mean, they leave 4 players alive, and that is, I feel like, 1 too many. Your goal is at least to try to get 2 or 3 down with you if you're going to be buying up, because I believe North Rockland bought some weaponry as well. I'm sure it wasn't as robust as the Knights had, but you're going to be going up against Stingers and Spectres. They're pretty even. They're relatively even, I would say, as we take a cool look at the background and the inspiration for the new skin sets Riot's producing.
I personally love the skin sets. I never actually buy them, though, because I spend my money elsewhere, mainly on Counter-Strike.
I was about to say.
Simple is caught by that 0 point, so no tailwind for them. They still want to play aggressive, though. I think this will be a recon bolt towards the back wall. No, instead it's a recon bolt towards the front wall. Nickelodeon misses a little bit. Still trying to get aggressive. Simple goes 0 for 2 on their opening shots, but still trying to play fairly far forward. Baba Boo and Jay both die right off the bat. No easy opportunity for a refrag either. And North Rockland have opened up significantly better than they have in other 2 rounds. 2 opening kills this time compared to 1 each of them, but there is a refrag. Still this 4v3.
Ooh. And I mean, no one has their ultimate just yet, which means it's just going to be raw utility. And it's looking good for North Rockland right now. They have the numbers advantage. They have a decent setup. 2 players playing near the back. They don't need to be exposed, but Simple evens things out. It's now 3v3, 0 point going off, finds him. That's where those players playing in the back is really going to help them, but up against such intense aggression, Phantom in hand. It's going to be really difficult for them to fight off against. The defuse is already going off. Come on, guys, you got to peek. There's the shock dart, but they just tank it, and they're going to defuse because pros don't fake, and that's going to be another round in favor of the Kings Park Knights, as he's going to, Kazmataz electing to stay back. Save.
You have to feel a little bit bad there for North Rockland. 2 different pieces of utility missed. The fragment went too far forward or too high up on the wall and reflected too far back inside of Maze rather than on top of the spike. And then the shock dart just whiffed entirely. So all the damage they thought they were going to be able to do instead completely nullified because of maybe missed lineups a little bit. And Kings Park are able to win the round off the back of it. Even with 2 opening picks, that single return and the amount of damage done, especially onto their jet, really costs them later on. Here's Simple, trying to play aggressive again. Goes over 2 on opening duels. Not losing opening duels. They've yet to die in this map, actually. However, they just can't hit that opening shot they're looking for.
And because of all of these kills for the Knights, they have such an advantage currently here in that ultimate economy. The flash goes out, but Jay gets caught. Endo's the one who's able to grab them. They're starting to look pretty, but every single time North Rockland's able to grab a couple of picks, they tend to fall off. So hopefully they can keep themselves together, play close, tight corners. Plant not going off. Cat bookmark waiting patiently. You got to get it in the right spot, as there's another player going down. 2 players left against the 5. Ultimates in the hand from the shadows to block out that map entirely. Hey, I know we talked about it earlier. It might not be one of the best ultimates in the game, but it's still extremely useful in some situations. I don't know if this is one of them. So I don't know how much utility that's going to get provided. But without movement error, Simple jumps in. Kazmataz able to get and take advantage of the situation, with Frog Drew not only being caught out, but being also the last player alive. It is a mountain for them to climb that they can't get through. Instead, a tree is born.
North Rockland took the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. In the first round, they did not succeed. They tried in the second. They tried again in the third, all towards A. And then they were like, none of that's working. They finally go to B and they win a round. So maybe switching things up is the goal there for North Rockland Esports. Kings Park on the other side, not able to retake that time around, albeit fairly significant player disadvantages earlier on in the round. Costs them a little bit more often than not, but they're still looking pretty good. The only issue right now is their economy, especially considering, well, it's a Marshall here for Simple. Maybe they actually hit a shot in this first attempt. They do, just for barely any damage.
Hey, you tag up your teammates, then they get sprayed down by a Stinger and a Spectre in the hands of a player like Baba Booey, who is trying to find the players that were tagged up.
Babu close inside of their own poison cloud, waiting. They drop it. Headshot found. Looking for a follow-up as well around the corner. Not looking the right way, but still able to do a decent bit of damage. Endo able to find just a single refrag, but not enough there for North Rockland. Even with significant weapon disadvantages on the Kings Park side, only 1 player dies for the 3rd time this game, and they'll win their 4th round thus far.
Baba Boo. He's able to do a decent amount of damage, as well as Simple. They've played together, tapped them down, and with 5k creds and some economy building up for their team, it's looking kind of tense. Hot under the collar. North Rockland, they were able to win out on B, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They literally did the exact opposite of that, going to B site. So why not do execute it by going to B again? I mean, B seemed to work for them. It was the weaker side for Knights, and they're at a disadvantage. So I understood the thought process of going A, right? If you're going up against a team with weaker weaponry, go to the site that they're stronger on, see if you can get a couple wins, so you're not as consistent on that B site.
North Rockland have just realized they don't have the spikes, or having to go back towards a poison cloud, or Viper Spit, sorry. Simple does almost 150 damage, but instead is just caught out. Nickelodeon on 3 HP, trying to drone in through here, finds a decent bit of information, but a lack of information is, well, information in and of itself. Kazmataz with their knife out, Jay outside of main, just sitting near spawn. Flash around the corner, Kazmataz wants to play aggressive, but Bababoo there for the refrag, and that very well should end the round. Jay around the corner, flashbang lands, they fake the fact that they're a clone, but Nickelodeon couldn't even see to shoot at them. Kings Park win a 5th, and Nickelodeon a little embarrassed if they are going to watch that one back.
It's interesting to see as production and like you know we don't see the flashes fully for a more enjoyable experience. We just get to see Jay walking across the screen, turn around, and finish things off. Again, it's about the adaptations. Kings Park, they didn't do a good job on on that previously a couple rounds ago on A site. So when they play on it again, as soon as they got the spike down, instantly, I don't even know if like they thought of it, they just ulted. It's straight up just like out of almost reflex. They ulted on that spike knowing that Baba Boo was like, I secure this. This is mine. And then the moment one of their teammates is like, oh, they're here. They see the flash. They're most likely going to be focusing on me. Baba Boo peeks out and is able to grab another one.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Simple up above, looking for a knife. He may very well find it as well. The knife in the back, a follow-up onto Cat Bookmark. He is shut down for his transgressions onto North Rockland, but not enough for that heinous act. Spider-Man from behind, vengeance for Batman, whatever hero or Marvel or cinematic universe you want to look at. Cosmataz even goalposts Jay and his clone. That is just brutal, what Kings Park just did to North Rockland.
I'm not 100% sure as to who took down North Rockland over on B-side, because they did send 2 players there,
Jay.
But I was about to say...
just casually got a double.
I was going to say, if it's anyone, it's definitely Jay TPing, and that's the Yoru utility. So thank you for confirming. I like that utility is so powerful. I could see Jay being a Yoru main, a person who staply plays this agent and understands their utility through and through. But with more memes getting caught out, they're able to win out against Endo.
Another opening kill here for Kings Park. There's a return. Uyo just absolutely dropping Jay with that Blade Storm. Follow up for Cosmataz, who is low, but still very much alive at this point. More Memes still wants to play fairly aggressive, and Simple just walks out of main, finding a kill. More Memes dropped as well. Uyo with a 3k in the round, leaving just their counterpart in a 1v3. The aggression has to work out here for Simple. They need at least an opening duel, and, well, the verticality may very well play in their favor. Nickelodeon not seen sitting towards hell. Their counterpart not on that dash across either. Finally able to find at least one. Nickelodeon's dropped. They drop onto the site as well, but they're just taking too much time for this. North Rockland's way too comfortable towards main.
I feel like the Kings Park Knights, whether they win this or lose this, trying to get as many eliminations would work out for them. Diffuse is tapped, and there is the spray down. Rockland does such a good job on this B site. And so I just want to see how long it'll take for Kings Park High right now to combat Rockland. See, because North Rockland, they have a very successful play onto that B site. They're able to execute on it really well, especially when they stack it or they choose and elect to go only onto B site instead of spreading it themselves a little bit too thin. They go onto the B site with a spike. I think they've won it both times they've tried, especially when they're going through main, not necessarily through mid.
I think with them being 2 for 2 at this point, it also notes that Kings Park's trying to set up a little better for it. If you look at the top left of the map towards the backside of spawn on B, there's a gate crash set up over there. So they do have a teleport set up fairly quickly. Baba Boo, waiting for the jump over, already finds Uyo. They're prepped for this aggression, and it's shut down. A double, now a triple for Baba Boo, not allowing any aggression here for the attacking side. Almost finding a fourth, instead it's stolen. Neural theft used, but more memes waiting on the site. The backstab with the operator. Endo is taken care of, and Kings Park, they adjust very well, understand where their weaknesses lie, and patch them up fairly quickly.
They just completely... I mean, they didn't even wait for the neural theft to go off. More Memes was able to capitalize off of the positioning that they had to just finish off Endo. And the thing is, it took them... how long did it take Kings Park High to adapt? Literally 1 round.
Yep. As soon as they realized they were 0 for 2 on B, they were like, well, let's try and put more on B. And it worked.
And not even that they put more on B. They just did it differently this time. They set up an operator B main. Like they're still setting up an operator B main. The teleport, like you said, the gate crash was there. And it wasn't that they had more players on that site. They had more utility and more thought process on it as well. Baba Boo is opening things up, but there's the trade.
Not again. Jay is just sitting inside of the tube, and I don't think they've been cleared from either direction. Jay, look behind you. Oh my goodness, how does Cat Bookmark not see them?
They didn't hear him.
Endo's in a 1v3. They don't have the spike. It has now been seen by Jay. And Endo needs a miracle to understate the obvious in this round to take it back. North Rockland in so much trouble here on Icebox. Endo will clear the corner, but will still not win the fight. Kings Park find 8. Oh my goodness.
And now, with 4 ultimates on the board for the Knights, they're such dominant ultimates, even for defense. It's really hard. It's, you know, I've been here in this place before. Fire on the streets. I mean, Deja Vu is hitting hard, and it is looking, it's looking rather similar. I believe they were at this scoreline at one point, and North Rockland was able to close things out a little bit, and get really close to winning things out, but they just were never able to like lock down a round.
Oh goodness, and the aggression's still paying off for Kings Park. Just doubled up aggression towards main this time around. A 2-for-1 trade overall, as they do give up almost all of B. There is only one line of defense left. Endo, however, makes a little bit too much noise. More memes hears them and will shut them down off the back of it. Recon Bolt, I don't think finds all that much because it's still on that close corner of the wall, so it really couldn't even see towards the backside of sight, even if they wanted it to. More memes threw a flash around the corner, but that also did not land. They see Uyo, but not all that much they can do with it. Baba Boo on a flank, finds one, and will find a second. Uyo not able to do anything about it. Kings Park find 9. Will the 9-3 curse that really isn't a curse that probably won't change the outcome of the half anyway come through?
I mean, every 3 rounds, North Rockland's was able to win one. So in theory, they could win this one as well. But their economy is kind of in shambles. It's a touch broken up. They do have ultimates, but unfortunately, Uyo is not. They don't have the Blade Storm. They don't have the Blade Storm yet. They do have the money to purchase up a weapon, so hopefully they're going to get a First Blood or something. Maybe drop it to a teammate and pop that Blade Storm, see if they can do some damage and get a little bit of bonus going on there, right? Getting some utility out of it. But Jay just has so much info here. He knows exactly where everyone is. He doesn't even need to shoot. He just lets his teammates do it. It worked! Jay was able to grab it worked, not looking in the right direction. It's just Nickelodeon, a classic and a dream. I mean, this is the start of some TikToks right here, right? You know, this is the start of some TikToks, but unfortunately the half ends 10-2.
Jay, it actually worked. For all of you confused as to what in the world we were talking about, Yoru has an ability where he throws out a little clone that kind of looks like himself, but instead, if they shoot it, it's a flash. More often than not, if somebody shoots at a flash and it doesn't shoot back, they're like, oh, we don't have to worry about it anymore. The issue, that flash looks exactly like Yoru, except to us, because we're observers and cooler than them. And the problem is, when you shoot it, what you think is a flash, and you don't actually determine whether it is or not, sometimes it could be the Yoru itself. Specifically, in that instance, Jay actually tried it before, I believe, all the way back on round number 1. Obviously didn't work, but that time it did, and they absolutely bamboozle Kazmataz, finding the kill, and, well, adding to the list of things that Kings Park has heinously done to North Rockland in this series.
And I mean, at this point, 10-2, it's hard to see it, and this is where we love to see some crazy outplays, and also, you gotta dig deep. You gotta dig deep to continue being in the series, so hats off to them as Baba Booey and Jay are able to get ones of their own. There's the real Jay. He's able to confuse someone, teleports all the way to that B site for the pinch. Endo's able to grab 2. They're not over. It's not over till it's over, and there we go, 11-2.
That may very well end it, and Kings Park just doing so in style. Jay only has 11 kills, but in my book, they're top fragging by a very large margin. Simple, however, is top fragging by a very large margin to everybody other than Baba Boo, who's at 17-7, surprisingly enough, on the Viper. But the aggression works out fairly well when you have some cohesive utility to back yourself up.
Cohesive utility. An interesting, I would say, a very interesting way to describe utility, and I would agree. It's when you utilize that type of stuff together, you lock down players in given areas, pinch them together. It works out so well. Kazmataz falls, and so does Nickelodeon.
That bookmark even taken out by Bababoo. Good reaction time. Jay is taken care of. Their clone will play no further part in the round, but Bababoo, dropping from the top ropes, will RKO Endo, and that may very well end out this round. Uyo in a 1 versus 4 is on for the ace, should they be able to find it. Has found the first onto Jay, a second on now to more memes, and they have the weaponry. The problem is they don't have the information. Simple from behind is being baited in by their teammates, who is just spraying to try and give him a knife. A possible second one here for the team. It is just a full bait setup, and they have no idea. It's the backstab and the knife in the back. That may very well be the nail in the coffin of Rockland High School here in week 4.
I wish... There's a song, I shot through the heart, but then there's no, like, knife in the back. It's just... and that's the thing,
in the back, and you're to blame.
I was gonna say, it's just like, there is no... just like this game, there is no cohesive or well thought out joke or quip that we can add into here. It's just an unfortunate set of circumstances when a team is able to win out like this. And the thing that I find really interesting is that the only reason Kings Park is seated lower than North Rockland is because they had to forfeit. But it's interesting because North Rockland, they're third. They're the 3rd seed, and Kings Park, they're the 6th. Maybe they're just not at full power, as we see the pinstripe kill feed go out.
And the retake going to be so difficult. 2 coming through from main. The only one retaking from the spawn itself is now dead. Bababoo will follow up on a Nickelodeon. I believe there's been more than enough of a sound cue to know where Cosmetaz currently lies. 1 versus 4, a stinger and limited utility left over here for the KO. The drop off, movement and falling in accuracy will cost him. A headshot to close it out, ever so poetic here for Kings Park. 26-5. 13-5 on Ascent, 13-2 on Icebox, and a 2-0 in the series.
26-5 is such a crazy scoreline in terms of rounds. And
you want to know a crazy scoreline in terms of KD?
Oh, let's hear it. Let's see it.
45 and 13 between Simple and Bababoo.
Jeez.
With 9 assists between the two of them as well. That is crazy.
That is very impressive. Not to also not to mention Simple, 5 first bloods in that one. And I mean, hey, TTL, do you have the scoreline on that? Or the stat line?
11 total in the series.
11 total.
Yeah.
So 11
game 1.
In 26 rounds, 11-26. Yeah, my caster math don't work.
I got you.
No calculator there.
42.3%. They increased their average amount of opening kills per 10 rounds.
Wow.
It's 4.2 per 10, by the way, for all of you curious. Very dominant, to understate the obvious there for Kings Park. Nerds, I want to take your final thoughts, especially on Icebox, mainly because of how dominant it seemed to be on a consistent basis. Only a few rounds lost, bonus round obviously taken care of, but Kings Park looked pretty clean and clear throughout.
I think Icebox is one of those maps because of how open some of those chokes are. Like, it's just, you could just go in there. And unless you have an operator on the B main choke, you really have a difficult time of controlling that as well. Because of how dominant the attack side is, and how well Kings Park Knights they're really good at executing. It was almost like the perfect map for them to play map 2. They're comfortable with it. Whether they're on defense, they kind of know if you're an execution team, you are very good at getting onto a site. You kind of know how to play retake really well, and you know how to slow down and stop the team from doing what you do best. And then when you're playing on attack, it's the same thing. You're just executing. You get on site, you plant, and you have a good time. Regardless, I mean, this is the last game, the last match of the day, so I'll have to reconvene and see what's going to be happening in just a little bit.
Executes. Kings Park with 2-0 victory here in week 4 of the EGF. I'm Time to Light. Joined alongside me is Nerds, and in with us for an interview, ever so kind, is Simple after the 2-0. A combined 45 and 13 in 2 maps, Simple. How do you feel after the 2-0 victory?
I mean, I feel great. I think us as a team are just playing at our highest level right now, and it's just it's great. It's fun. It's awesome.
Well, that highest level was really shown throughout map 1, especially early on Ascent. You guys seemed confident in what you wanted to do. Of course, starting off on the defensive side helped a little bit. Talk to me about how that helped you specifically.
Yeah, we really like our defense, I think. With that Cypher playing and me on Omen, I just think we have really good control over the whole map. So it's just it's easy from there on.
Speaking of which, I just wanted to ask, what rank are you guys? How long have you been playing?
I have been playing since beta. I am currently unranked. I haven't been playing this game much, but me and my buddies just we wanted to start a team, and so we thought, why not?
Oh, just casually unranked. I mean, I definitely saw some immortal buddies there. That's why I was like, I'm just curious. I was like, what rank are you guys?
I have hit immortal before.
Okay, so there is a little bit more there. So then I do want to ask, who's the IGL?
I would say I'm the IGL. I like to call a lot of plays and just keep the team in check.
Oh, that's understandable. Speaking of keeping the team in check and stuff, your adaptations are so quick, and we saw a decent amount of them at the beginning of Icebox. How do you guys do it?
Well, really, Icebox, I'd say, is our favorite map. We try to pick it every time. We love how the map is, and especially with the Sage and Viper, it's just great.
Yeah.
Quick flexibility worked out fairly well for you, Simple. Towards the end of Icebox, there was a little stylistic play. The drop down on top to knife and then backstab with a headshot. The knife from behind to put you onto match and series point. Talk to me about how you guys communicate with that, how you set each other up, and maybe how you measure that aggression in closer series.
Well, personally, I'm just a big fan of knife plays. Whenever I have the chance, I'll go for one. It's just a fun thing I like to do. But really, it's all about our comms and just calling that, hey, I have a knife here, I'm going for it, and the team plays around that.
I was talking being set up. The rest of the team, you were just talking to them. Hey, bait, just shoot. Make sure he's looking at you. I want to knife him. That was the comms, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely. Top tier. I love it. Nice job. Whoever was alive at that point, I'm sure you're watching this. Very well done. I love the bait setup. Usually it never works because people always turn around for some unknown reason, but well done specifically to you for the knife kill and for winning, of course, the 2-0 victory. Before we send you on your way, anybody you want to shout out? Any final thoughts in the series? The floor is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to shout out my, of course, my friends at school, Paul, Joe, Dane, Andrew, and also, I'd just like to say we're gonna have fun this season and just can't wait for more matches.
Seems like you already have. Simple, thank you very much for joining us, and again, congrats on the 2-0 victory.
Thank you.
Well, nerds, to close things out here, moving on to our next week of play. Of course, week 4 isn't done. We still have Rocket League on Wednesdays and Overwatch on Thursdays. Hint, hint, nod, nod if you still want to watch some EGF this week. But looking forward, Kings Park seemed pretty confident thus far in the EGFH.
Well, I know one thing. Their standing is going to go way up, at least from this match itself, right? I mean, having a team that's having a fun time, is confident, and, I mean, unranked but playing at such a high level definitely shows a lot of potential and promise, and that's the whole point of this. We're trying to get players to have a fun time, come together, maybe play some ranked, maybe play and get into it, especially with how Valorant is kind of changing up their esports scene. That's kind of what we want here at EGFC, EGFH, and an EGF in general, the broader EGF community.
Yeah, it was a fairly clean pickup here for Kings Park. They will close things out 2-0 in maps, 13-3 on Ascent, 13-2 on Icebox, 26-5 in rounds overall, and they move themselves up in the standings of American Group 1 up to 3rd, not including the other outcomes of Week 4 here in the EGFH. But again, like I said, we're not done for the week. Rocket League still on Wednesdays, I'm picking that one up, and then Overwatch on Thursdays to close out week number 4, and of course every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday for the next 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it is. Just look at Twitter, look at the schedule at official EGF on Twitter, by the way, if you'd like to go follow over there. But that's all we have for you, at least here for Valorant in week number 4. Catch us on Wednesday for some Rocket League action. I've been Time to Light. That's been Nerds. Juke has been running things in the background, ever so kind to hold things down. We'll see you on Wednesday.